Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, where we talk about complex, supernatural, spiritual subjects. And today's video, I'm at the Osaka Castle grounds in Osaka, Japan. That beautiful castle behind me is fairly new. It's been destroyed a couple times, rebuilt, but there's always been a castle on this site for the last maybe 600 years, which is actually a bit of a short period of time by Japanese standards, given that there's castles and temples in this country that date back 2,000 years, 3,000 years. So I thought this would be a good time to talk about the concept of adventure and a little bit about, I guess, my philosophies, my travel philosophies, why you always see me abroad in different places. But more importantly, why does the soul desire adventure and how to bring that into your life a little bit. But before I go into this topic in more detail, if you're new around these parts, please go down and hit that subscribe button, as this helps keep the channel going, helps keep me talking about this crazy stuff, helps the YouTube algorithm recognize this channel so more people see it. So any help in that area is appreciated. So to continue. So why is it that a travel without adventure is pointless? Well, this can be said for a lot of things we do in life, but it especially comes to the surface when you are a tourist. Now, if you look around me, there's pretty much, mobs of tourists all over the place here at the Osaka Castle, and this is off season. It's going to be way more beautiful here later on this month when the cherry blossoms bloom. I'm here a bit premature, and I imagine there'll be 10 times more people as well. And what happens when it's like that? Yeah, it's really beautiful, and you get really, really lovely photos, but I mean, it's you and thousands of other people. So, I mean, I like being a tourist. I like doing touristy stuff, but what I've come to find in life is that what the soul really wants is adventure. And that's why we love video games, why we love films. They always have a common theme of adventure. Well, not all of them, I suppose, but many of them. Many films we enjoy have a protagonist who goes on a quest, on a hero's journey, which, well, that's a whole different topic we can get into at a different time. But I think this reflects, deeper subjects. Why do we incarnate? Why are we individuals? Why do we explore the things we explore? What is it that we really want? What is it that we really wish to experience? So all of that is very relevant to our incarnations. Look behind me, this is like the Osaka Fortress, I guess. I don't know how to distinguish it. I guess that's actually the Osaka Tower. And then behind me is more of the... How's it going? Behind me is more like the primary Osaka Castle Fortress type building. Anyway. So the thing is that, I get a lot of messages, people saying, "Oh, Cyrus, I'm so jealous of you because you're always in these really cool places. And if only I could go to Osaka, Japan, if only I could go and see these beautiful sights." And I won't lie, I've been to some really cool places. I usually live out of hostels. I keep it very affordable, work on my laptop. It's the whole digital nomad thing. But there's an issue with the digital nomadism. People who do what I do is that they begin to feel this kind of hollow feeling. And I see this a lot on travel forums, digital nomad forums. People do this kind of lifestyle for a while, and it begins to feel a little bit vapid. It begins to feel like it's missing something. And that's because when you do touristy stuff, you're not really engaged to anything. You're not really experiencing something unique and powerful and interesting. You're walking around, taking photos, taking video, putting them on Instagram, which, by the way, I do all of the above. But at the end of the day, you're not having an experience, and you're not telling a story, right? You're just one of the masses of people basically doing the same shit. And so this is why people begin to find doing that type of thing to be really unsatisfying. It's why I've determined that tourism, for the most part, is a little bit of a waste of time. So if you travel, and this applies to going on a trip, but it also applies to life, I think it's a much better idea to focus more on experiences rather than just destinations, rather than just going to a place, taking photos, and hoping that this is going to fill some sense of meaning in your life, even though it's not going to. So how do you have experiences rather than tourism? Well, examples might be volunteering on a farm. I know somebody who has gone to Australia to work on a farm with Hare Krishnas, and basically she works 5 hours a day, gets up, gets free accommodation, free food, and meets all these Hare Krishnas and people doing the same thing. I've heard that can be life-changing experience. What else? I stay when I can, not all the time because it gets old, but I stay in hostels, and I make it a point to meet as many other travelers as I can, and basically just hang out with people I meet. It sounds a bit silly, a bit basic, but that's led to a lot of very fun, very memorable experiences. I remember there was time I was in Macedonia, a little country above Greece, hung out with these people, they became friends. We ended up crashing a party at a TV station. So they were celebrating some TV show. They launched some kids TV show. We came in uninvited. I began talking to people. They found out I was actually living in Hollywood, and then the producer of the show wants to come out and meet me, and ends up giving me all this info about their station and their show, and he end up making this business contact because they wanted a connection to somebody back in Los Angeles. But totally random, isn't it? If we hadn't decided to crash that party and sneak in uninvited, that wouldn't have happened. But those are just tiny examples. I mean, that's not some meaningful thing that's going to change my life, but it's a lot more fun and a lot more interesting than just going someplace and taking photos. So on a bigger scale, this does seem to be something that the soul desires, which is to have lots of interesting, cool experiences. And unfortunately, a lot of people who do the tourism thing, who go out and come to a place like Osaka Castle, take photos, a lot of times they're missing the big point. Because you can go to a hotel, go to a nice hotel, stay in the hotel, go out on a tour bus, follow the basic tour route, hang out with all of the other tourists with selfie sticks like the one I'm using right now, doing all that stuff, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're not having a true experience. Another example could be staying with a host family. So that's always really interesting because you get this dynamic experience with people from the actual culture. So you get to get an inside look into a family's life. And that's definitely an amazing experience. So there's actually, there's many ways to bring adventure into your life. And if you're not traveling, there's ways to do it back at home. But a lot of it involves having dynamic experiences that hopefully challenge you a bit, that involves meeting lots of people. And hopefully, a story is developed through all of it. And sometimes, stories have antagonists. Interestingly enough, great adventures sometimes involve a bad guy. Sometimes it involves overcoming something, overcoming a challenge, beating somebody, as egotistical as that sounds, but it may involve winning. It may involve winning in a competition. All that stuff is great, and that's what keeps life very interesting, very exciting, and allows a person to be continually growing. And so I think it's critically important. And so I also, basically, I wanted to make this point concerning how I'm always abroad. And when I am abroad, I try not to be a tourist. I try to make it a little bit more meaningful than that. And if I'm out of ideas, and I just stay at a hostel. And then sometimes just being in the hostel in a different culture, a different city, is by itself the adventure, because I still have to work on my laptop 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So I might as well work around other travelers, other people I can meet. And then when you make some friends, and then you go out and you do something like go to an attraction, go to a site, then it's a lot more interesting, because just meeting those other people can itself be like an adventure. So these are just my thoughts. These are my philosophies. I don't know if you share these same thoughts or same ideas. You can feel free to post the comments below what you think. But I guess in summary, the big picture is I believe that souls desire adventure. And if you feel like nothing's happening in your life, if you feel like you're in a routine, then instead of planning a vacation, instead of going to London and taking photos of Buckingham Palace, try something different. Try something that's authentic, that involves being with other people, that involves a challenge, involves meeting people, involves exploring a new culture, and then just see what happens. And you'll find this is very much interconnected with concepts of spirituality, spiritual growth, things like that. And not many people think like this. Not many people practice this type of thing. I would say, the vast majority of people I meet do not do this. So just going to a location that's beautiful, that by itself really doesn't mean anything. And it leaves most people feeling quite unsatisfied. But I don't have that issue, because if I spend a day, I go to a park or something, great, take some photos, it's very nice. But I don't have any kind of existential issue that comes with it, because that's not the reason for why I travel. It's not the reason for why I live abroad. I don't come all the way from the USA just to snap some photos of a nice castle. I guess one last point about this is you really see this a lot in today's generation and today's kind of like fake Instagram culture. So we do have this social media culture where everybody's trying to one-up everybody else with the cool places they've been to and this like idyllic lifestyle, and it never is idyllic. Because the more idyllic it looks, the more attention you get, the more likes you get, the more upvotes you get. And people are all envious, and then people get off on that envy, when in reality, like whatever it is that they did that's generating so much envy is really not that interesting, and hasn't really affected them. Like if I'm going to be envious of somebody, it's going to be somebody who like did something really cool, like went on an adventure. What's a good example? Shackleton, the guy who went exploring Antarctica, and he had that famous poster to recruit sailors to join his team. And to paraphrase, it said something like, looking for brave men willing to go on a perilous journey for little or no pay, and putting your life at risk, all in the name of glory and discovery. Please contact me at blah blah blah. So it's very funny. If you read that whole story, watch the film Shackleton. Again, very. He says it was very challenging, and maybe at the time not a very nice experience. Basically, being marooned in Antarctica. Everybody at one point pretty much thought that they were going to die. But even those types of experiences that seem awful while it's happening end up going down in legend as being something nobody will ever forget. And that's something else to think about. So, who doesn't want to have a legendary experience? Who doesn't want to have songs and tales told about them for generations after, right? So those are, again, my thoughts. If you like this kind of stuff, like these kind of videos, and check out afterlifetopics.com, where we usually talk about subjects like metaphysics, life after death. I'm just going off topic a little bit on this video. You can check out books like Understanding Life After Death, The Afterlife and Beyond, or you can get involved in all of this stuff, support the work I do, support this channel and possible larger productions I may do in the future involving, I don't know, haunted places, spiritual sites, things like that. So if you want to help fund some of that, you can become a student. So we meet twice a week. We discuss big topics, have Zoom discussions, and you can find more about that at afterlifetopics.com/university. All right, guys. Well, I will see you all on the next video.